Salutations, comrades, and welcome back. It is Lolafet! So, sort of following in the trend of the last video that I did, I'm going to do another top 3 video, but this one is going to go all the way off the rails onto some other rails and then back off the rails. I'm going to share with you guys the top 3 wildest character and creature designs that I have ever read about in Star Wars. Starting with number 3, we're going to be talking about the energy spider that is native to the spice mines of Kessel. Say that 10 times fast. If you are familiar with Star Wars lore, specifically on screen, Obi-Wan, Boba Fett, you are familiar with the drug category called spice. There is a subcategory of spice called glitter stim. The craziest thing about glitter stim is it is a web that is woven by something called the energy spider or the spice spider that is native to the spice mines of Kessel. This thing is blaster proof because it literally just absorbs energy. So it scurries around in the pitch dark and scaring the piss out of the miners down there, and cannot be shot with blaster bolts. However, for some reason, it can be taken down with ion weapons. Number 2, we are going to be talking about the assembler, Kudar Mabet. This thing is what nightmares are made of. So from afar, Kudar Mabet's web looks like sort of a ship. It's ship-sized, it's kind of tube-shaped, but all of the webs are actually made out of his neurofibers. So when he has people inside his web walking through, because it's full corridors, it's rooms, it's this expansive space, they are walking on, through, inside his brain, which is really upsetting to think about. Kudar Mabet is one of the characters that's sort of a liaison for the less than legal activities within the universe. He has a good reputation, or a reputation, with the Black Sun organization. He works with the Empire, he works with the Bounty Hunters Guild. So he's fairly well respected for his ability to be a liaison through all of those organizations. One of the interesting things about Kudar Mabet is that throughout his web he has subnodes, which are tiny little arachnid pseudo-intelligences that are still connected to his neurofibers that he's able to communicate with, he's able to use as surveillance, which is, again, upsetting to think about. But one of these subnodes does eventually overthrow the assembler, and that is essentially what the species is supposed to do. So even though Kudar Mabet is the only fully developed member of his species that we ever see, he does talk about the fact that he actually absorbed and re-ingested his creator. So he was originally a subnode. So it's interesting. It's this auto-cannibalism arachnid who's a hoarder, who works with all of the shadiest organizations in the universe. Coming in at number 1, this character had me say what the fuck so many times I almost summoned Samuel L. Jackson. Daharin is a bounty hunter that Boba Fett has worked with on several different missions, including the one to Circumtor to confront the Shell Huts. He underwent voluntary cybernetic modification surgeries that made him a walking artillery weapon. This dude had a cannon for a head. Alright, so the operation that he went under, or several operations really, his skull, his entire head, was removed and replaced with a cannon. A cannon! He's got a cannon for a head. Then they removed his brain from his skull, put it into an armor-plated box, and fastened that onto the front of his chest. His heart and I believe his lungs were also removed and relocated, but the rest of his organs were removed and discarded. He had enhanced skin that essentially made him bulletproof. I believe they used Durasteel. I should have double-checked that before I started this video. And they also added a scorpion tail for basically a counterweight to help offset the recoil from the cannon head. Because again, Homeboy has a cannon mounted on his shoulders. Now, a lot can be said about this character because he's a beautiful representation of PTSD, of that kind of man versus machine. Because if you look into his character, he actually underwent this surgery to help protect his planet. By the time he came out of that surgery, the rest of his comrades, his entire planet had been destroyed. Truly, I mean, like, there are parts of Star Wars that are for kids, but it's not for kids overall. The dark science that happens in Star Wars is terrifying. Like, truly, and the movies never truly encompass it, and I think to some degree they can't, especially now that somebody bought it. But in a lot of the books, we see this very macabre science. I did talk about that a little bit with the Republic Commando series and Cal Skirata raising the clone troopers. But there is a lot of very dark, macabre science and warfare that happens in this universe that we never see on screen. So, that is my top 3 wildest character designs that I have ever read about in Star Wars. If you have a crazier character that you think I should have mentioned, I want to hear about it in the comments. Until next time, take care, comrades. Bye.